My favourite wildlife documentary has definitely been the wolf series that we filmed last year up in the Arctic. Just because the Arctic is such an extraordinary place, and to spend time in an extraordinary place with one of the world's most iconic species was just, I think it would be very, very, very hard to beat that. I think any society or organisation that actually gives people an opportunity to engage with wildlife or wildlife issues are incredibly important. So whether that's at a kind of preschool level, in primary schools, university level, or just as part of community, I think just giving people that opportunity to, increase their understanding and learning about wildlife, and to sort of become aware of problems that are face wildlife. I think it's just something that every person should have, because it's so rewarding. I think, the biggest pleasure in life, certainly for me, is to have a relationship with nature. And I think all these clubs and societies give everyone a chance to do that. Again, I have to say, spending time with the wolves was incredible. So that kind of goes, it's like, yeah, the best thing I've ever worked on, my favourite animal and best wildlife encounter is wolf, wolf, wolf. And I think just being, habituating an animal. I've worked with habituated animals before, but I've never played such a key role in getting to know an individual. So I think just starting off on one side of a valley, watching a group of animals, and then, by the end of the project and the experience, I was able to sit among them, and I really truly had been accepted by them. So that was unique for me. It was great. I think the one piece of advice that I would give to anyone that wants to make wildlife films or be involved in making wildlife films is just get out and do it, because there has never been a better time to tell a story, because the equipment is readily available. You can, if you don't have a decent quality camera, you can borrow one. If you don't have a laptop to edit it on, you can borrow one. It's when I first started, it used to cost £100 for a roll of film that lasted for 10 minutes. It used to cost a further £100 to process that. So you've got all this, modern technology and this audience out there through the internet that you can pick a story and tell it. So I think, yeah, if you want to make wildlife films, why aren't you doing it right now? One of my really embarrassing moments behind the camera was thinking I'd pressed record when I hadn't, and it was two leopard cubs doing this beautiful playing with their mum, and then the mum picked up one of the leopard cubs and walked up a bank and climbed up all of these obstacles and dropped the cub at the bottom, and the other little cub at the bottom was getting all distressed, and it started clambering up, and it was jumping up a bank and started falling down. It jumped up again, fell down, and I was filming this thinking, this is just gold dust, this is amazing. The producer, or the series producer, was actually out with us that day, and he was like, oh God, this is great stuff, and I was like, yeah, it's brilliant. And then it was all over, and I hit the button, and then look, I was like, that's strange, the camera's running, and I hadn't recorded any of it. And I had to, yeah, it was very embarrassing. Yeah, so now, even years later, I hit the button, but it's recording, it's recording. But interesting, we saw almost exactly the same thing 2 days later with the same cubs. So yeah, it's a kind of valuable lesson learned. Make sure the camera's running. It's quite interesting that over the last 25 years since I've been doing this job, I've had to erase kind of some lines and boundaries that I thought I shouldn't cross as far as kind of proximity to animals. And I've never wanted to get hands-on with wild animals, physically sort of be there. I've never wanted to swim with dolphins and actually to put my hands on them. But as far as the sort of these kind of lines that you should and shouldn't cross, I've realised that there are certain individuals within species that are super tolerant. They're not bothered about you being there. And I think, you know, it just gives me an opportunity to tell their story through being, you know, really close to them. And I think viewers really do respond much better to an animal when it's you see it kind of in full HD, kind of there, and it's not on a distant hillside. And with a lot of the species that I'm filming, they're potentially scary animals and big, potentially dangerous. So I've always just been very cautious to kind of, you know, try and make myself aware of what the risks are. It doesn't really necessarily go for just the animals, but the place that I go can often be, you know, bigger threat than any of the animals. But I think just that kind of having that respect for the animal and trying to learn its language as fast as you can, that's what's going to keep you, you know, keep you safe. If you have respect for that animal, you'll take the time to actually try and allow it to communicate to you. Again, this is something that's come up since I've been doing stuff in front of camera and since I've been in the Family and Me type series, because these are kind of real, genuine bonds as far as I go. You know, often an animal doesn't give a stuff and probably happy to sort of, you know, just carry about their life and never think about that experience again. But in many of these situations, you're actually forming a genuine relationship with that animal, a working relationship in that, you know, they allow you to, you know, reveal a part of their life. But you do get close to these animals. You can't spend, you know, all day, every day for weeks and months, and, you know, some occasions with an individual. You know, it's like any colleague, I suppose, that you kind of get to know and you like some more than others. My predictions for the wildlife film industry is that it is always, I firmly believe it's always going to be part of that kind of televisual diet, because I think we have such a kind of disconnect from the natural world that through their TVs people are kind of reaching out, trying to reconnect with the wild. And I think wildlife documentaries do that really incredibly well, show fascinating species and amazing places, and you know, you tell people what it's like and give them that experience almost in the comfort of their own home. I think the way the technology has moved on, I could never ever have imagined, you know, that the technology that we have now in 2015, I remember thinking back, wouldn't it be amazing if you could have a little camera that size that could do it? Of course, that's never going to happen. You know, even when I first started, like a thing like a tablet or an iPhone, what they can do is astounding. And I'm really kind of, everyone takes technology for granted because it can never do everything that we want it to do, so we're perpetually kind of frustrated by it. But I think I'm really glad that I was born at a time that I was, because, you know, probably for young people these days, my upbringing was more like kind of, you know, wartime generation sort of upbringing. Really simple, no technology. We didn't have computers, so to have watched how technology has been embraced and how it can be used and how it's made, you know, my job, it doesn't make it any easier because you're constantly pushing the boundaries. But I think with technology, I don't want to put myself out of a job, but I think there will come a day that you can have remote cameras that can do, you know, so much, that you can send a drone in that can be fully operated remotely. And yeah, I think technology is what's going to sort of, you know, help, but it's always going to be stories at the heart of it. That's what's sort of the key, whether it's the story of a particular animal or a particular person that has a relationship with an animal. And yeah, you can have all the kind of amazing technology and kind of bells and whistles, but if actually you've got no story, people are going to get bored really quickly. So I think, you know, there's going to be huge changes and no change whatsoever. It's like key. People love wildlife. People love watching wildlife, whether that's in the wild or whether that's in their homes. And if you've got a good story, you're going to have a, you know, huge audience.